Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param. Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. So Krishna is still talking to Arjuna. I mean, Arjuna is the one talking now, asking questions, terrorized with the vision of Ishvara as a whole. And that took us into this conversation involving the destruction, not only the creation, the maintenance, this blessing, this power, this vibhuti, that projects, sustains, but also destroys. So we have been seeing it quite extensively, repeatedly, and the verse do not change. They keep going in the same way, the same direction. And Arjuna was in the battlefield, and he was not seeing, remembering people being born or growing and the happy moments of their life. He was only foreseeing death and destruction. And then he was not even able to enjoy the other vibhuts of the Lord because he was already somehow anticipating great destruction, much destruction. So therefore, Arjuna continued seeing this destruction represented by the fire in the mouths of the Lord with its sharp teeth, and so on. Thus, if I accept the whole thing is Mangalam. So here Swami begins to present the simple concept that we have heard many times. One thing is to hear those things. Another thing is to develop the mental, emotional maturity to accept it happily, understanding. This is maturity. Sometimes maturity is something that appears and disappears, appears and disappears. It's intermittent. But he's trying to say here that everything is a blessing, everything is mangalam. So the death, the growth, and the birth, the growth, and the death, everything is mangalam. Everything is a blessing. So we die every day, as a matter of fact, because we go through our days doing many things, going through a lot of experience, some of them intense. And then in the end of the day, if we are lucky enough, we have a good deep sleep. When we fall to sleep, everything disappears, our physical body and the physical world. And we know it is a great blessing. That's why we talk in terms of the three states of the jiva as the most profound analogy for us to understand, what it takes to get free from this this feeling of fear, insecurity due to the identification with the awake world, the world of the waker. If we identify as the awaker and the awakening world, we're going to be trouble. We're going to be in trouble. And then Vedanta brings the three states so that you can go all the way to deep sleep and you have no problem to die for that day because you have a confidence that your physical body does not really die, it's just sleeping, And how can we make a parallel and understand that the awakened state as well It has a sort of deeper sleep, which involves losing the physical body, but just to get another one. It's not going to be the same one as it is when we get up in the morning, but it's going to be a new one. But then people, "Oh, but I'm not going to remember that it was me before," so that's how it is. In any case, whatever we have learned according to our scriptures is never wasted, it's never lost. Everything remains in the subconscious mind, in the causal body, as tendencies, as certain knowledge, certain vasanas, certain predispositions. So we have to accept everything, and we have to accept that as well as when we go to deep sleep, we have no problem to dying for that day because we are very, very confident that I'm not really dying as the physical body, but you could die sleeping. Now we need to understand that the body is going to die. It's going to go through these three states, until it stops going through the three states because the body is gone, the physical body is gone. You need the physical body to experience the three states. So, and you can only do that if you understand first that you are an individual soul traveling through several several births, you know. So if you understand that, you understand that your mind is, basically endless. Beginningless we know, but endless, almost endless as we know. But that is one way to solve this problem. Understand? No, like the Indians do. No, rebirth doesn't matter. We're born again. Let's celebrate. So we're gonna get a better birth. How so? Oh, because I did tapas, I did this, I did that. I'm sure Shwara is gonna give me a better life circumstance and situations, and more punya. So we need to resolve this problem at that level, but preferably resolving this problem at the level that I am that which was not was never born, and therefore I will never be able to die. I have never gone through the three states. I'm the consciousness in which the three states just keep rolling, going round and round. So here Swami is presenting this concept that death is also blessing. Birth is also blessing, a mangalam. That's why I was saying dying at the end of the day is a blessing. And we are so happy to sleep, a deep, profound, resting sleep. But that's, as repeating myself, because we are confident that it does not, I'm going to appear again, So how to convince someone that you're going to appear again because your mind does not die with the physical body? That enough. That should be enough for people to lose most of this fear. In fact, this is the Vedantic approach. Birth is seen as samsara. So Swami is presenting a very interesting concept here because we say that everything here is mangalam. Everything here is a blessing. Okay? Which is auspicious, it's just divine, the birth and the life and so on. And then he said, but the death as well is divine, it's a blessing, it is auspicious and so on. And then he said, but you have to understand that from another angle, everything is unauspicious, undivine, and amangalam. How so? Because the Vedantic approach says so, that the birth itself is seen as samsara, an error. Why it is an error? Because you did not complete your journey in the previous one, therefore you have to come back to continue processing punya papa, your vasanas. So learning more in regards to how to behave, how to live in this realm, and in the process develop the qualifications to get self-knowledge and get out of the game. So everything is seen as undivine, a mangalan, even the birth, because to be born is a declaration of being ignorant and wanting more and more of the same duality that has caused suffering to you for so long, for so many lives. So Shankaracharya is including in samsara not only death but birth as well, which is something difficult for people to digest, you know. So he has include as samsara as a beginning of a process to come, which is unfortunate, which is a mangalam. In that vision, you should see the association with another birth or another person as a mangalam. So there are so many sorts of associations, and that here he brings the marriage, which is considered to be the highest, the most sacred association on a human level. No? The highest is guru disciple, so say the scriptures. But the marriage must be seen as a blessing, but also as the opposite of a blessing, because it is going to bring a lot of pain association unless you are yani. And if you are yani, you don't need association, although the yani does not necessarily need to be against association. He leaves it all to Ishvara. But in general, the samsari gets into association, believing that it's going to be a easy sailing, everything is going to be wonderful, and so on, and there will be a lot of challenge. Huh? So therefore, even this kind of association must be seen as samsara, as a mangalam. Everything is a mangalam. And what is wrong about association as well, because it's association unavoidably. It brings about dependence and attachments. And nobody's happy being attached to anything. Nobody's going to be happy attached to one's own body, much less to one's companion's body. That other body can leave you at any time, may die or may find somebody else or may decide to live alone. So when people are coming together, they already get in trouble unless they are wise. And not only that, association brings within itself dissociation. So we have the trouble of association, of attachment and dependence. And then, as if that was not enough, the fear of dissociation, in spite of a difficult association because it's based on dependence. Therefore, even association must be seen as a mangalam. We can see people getting together, and of course, people going away also as a mangalam. So then it is an uniform vision. So I'm saying you have to see everything as a blessing. It depends on the personality of the person. Some people are very positive. Some people are going to see everything as a blessing, okay? And some people are going to see, some yanis, I mean to see, something is going to see everything as samsara, everything as just, a source of pain and suffering, as a mangala. So my take is the yanis who are very, very big with devotion to the Lord tend to see everything as mangala, as divine, as a blessing, as auspicious. And the yanis that do not have that much devotion sees everything from the standpoint of dry vairagya that says none of this is real. Jesus is all a source of great suffering. It depends on the degree of devotion, bhakti, in the mind of the person. In the Ishvatya Upanishad, it is said, did you translate that for us by any chance?
I must admit, I don't know where we are in the text. Been listening, but I'm not clued in on to where we are.
We are we have began on the class, the lesson, the meeting 147
Oh,
that involves verse 30 to 33.
oh, that far. Okay. I don't think I have it. I'll find our spot. Thank you.
Okay. And then here there is something that Isavasya Upanishad says, according to Vedantas, Varga is also a Mangala, samsara. So we can see our situation here in this physical material realm as a blessing or a curse, as we say, no? As samsara. Therefore, we have only two options. We either accept the whole thing as a blessing or we reject everything as a curse, something like that, because there is so much suffering being born and live through this life and so on. Again, the more the heart of the individual develops an appreciation to the Creator, the more it accepts it all as a blessing, as a beauty, and so on. That's my take. We need to make up our minds. We see everything as a blessing, or everything must be rejected. I'm very tired. My English is paying the price. Everything must be rejected as a curse. But what is our problem? We want to see birth as divine, as a blessing, as auspicious, and that's as the opposite. That is our problem. We accept one side of the coin, but not the other one. As long as we keep this narrow view attitude, the world will cause great suffering, trouble, terror, fear, grief, and so on. Samsara, we're going to suffer. That's why it's called samsara. That's why people who do not have this knowledge are called samsari, because they live in the world most of the time with somehow worked out smile in their face when they are not, when they are alone now. But deep inside, they are having a hard time with life, you understand? Because they don't know really what they are, who they are. And fear and insecurity is always there, somehow undermining their happiness, the peace and the joy. Either totally embrace the world as it is or totally renounce the world as it is. If you want to keep one part of one segment and reject the other, you're going to suffer, because that is the impossible mission that I often like to refer to. It's a one complete package. Pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. Ignorance and wisdom, ignorance and wisdom. Unfortunately, we live on a dense society, in a world, a civilization, governed by a dense ignorance and respect. Spiritual, religious ignorance, let's say. And the Arjuna problem is just that. He wants to accept one side, but not the entire package. The destructive principle, the other side of Lord Krishna, he does not take it easily. Anything from you guys? Feel free, because it's the same concept we have been seeing again and again. It's good to revisit again, because this is such a taboo, such a myth. Nobody wants to face and talk about death or leaving the body, you know. And it's good for us to understand, you know, that we need to make peace, but real peace with it, not superficial peace, not just, you know, like, oh yeah, no, I'm good, I'm not afraid. We need to see it and see so, because it's the only thing that is absolute certain. Our time is coming. Like Ramji said, you're going to be the next.
It seems to me that a lot of my concern over whether I would be afraid of dying left when I started understanding that that I'm always experiencing myself as timeless, as birthless. There's something underlying all this worldly experience that's ever present and not a part of it. And once you get hold of that, you can access it, you know, nididhyasana and so forth, then a lot of that fear just vanishes.
That's very beautiful, very nicely put. Yeah, that's all there is to self-knowledge. That's to shift your identification to that principle that is timeless. Very nice. Good for you, Lynn.
Of course, who knows?
Well,
When the time comes,
that's the ultimate test, but I have confidence somehow that people like ourselves going through this process for years, you know, we have got different degrees of certainty in respect to self-knowledge that somehow is going to work for us at the last moment when we face the dissociation from the physical body, you know, because it's impossible not to remember something you have contemplated for so long. You understand? So, and I'm going to illustrate what I'm saying here. When we lived near Papaji in Lucknow, he used to say many things without explaining, contextualizing, and so on. And he used to say that it's okay, you keep working on this, so try to understand it and be free. But even if you don't get this knowledge firm or whatever, you know, when you come to die in that moment, you're going to understand it. More, and he used to say a lot of people get free at the time of death because they have already been contemplating this knowledge for so long. He used to explain to that degree, okay? So you're gonna get it there because you already work on this. When it comes, you're gonna remember, you're gonna see. You're leaving your body, but you are the principle, timeless, like Lynn said. But then he would say, but that is somehow, why not to get it now so that you can enjoy the rest of this life as Mangalam, you know? So why not to enjoy from the standpoint of Jesus Mangalam, you know? This was a great
yeah, and then
opportunity.
without that attachment and fear
Yeah,
that's part of samsara, you're able to give more to the Shrishti,
yeah.
you know.
Arjuna sees Kala Tattva active. Time represent destruction. The mouth of the Lord full of fire, swallowing, crushing everything. like the rivers, that was a beautiful metaphor as well. The rivers come down to somehow dissolve themselves into the ocean. Another one is the mouse flying into the flames. So we have seen several metaphors. And the verse 30 says, swallowing all the worlds on every side with flaming mouths, thou art licking the lips. So he's elaborating more and more dramatically, as if Ishvara was really enjoying crushing and eating everybody, which is not the case. He's just trying to shock Arjuna's mind so that he develops instant dispassion, for life. That is one of the strategies. If you see life as a blessing, as Mangalam, you may enjoy so much that you may develop a little bit of attachment, divine attachment, But if you see life as a curse, in which everybody is being crushed moment to moment, is dying, in which societies, in which people are governed by this dense ignorance, it's difficult to get out of the samsara. So if you see all these defects and all these, these pictures of what life is, like another analogy, you already have the crocodile hold one of your legs. It's already consuming you, your life force, and you are not noticing, but you are already there in the jaws of the crocodile of samsara. So all those pictures help people to develop more dispassion, vairagya. Like, you are being crushed. Everything is being crushed. And the Lord destroys everything. So it gives you some time to learn and grow. But then it takes back, and you identified with the instrument of experience. It's going to feel to you just like that, a cruel God that devours you because its nature is time, When you see from that angle, you say, oh my God, this is not a blissful place I thought I was born in. And, it is scary, but maybe it's one of the ways Krishna provokes a certain rejection in the mind of Arjuna towards the life as we know. Because if we see things as beautiful, beautiful is beautiful, more often than not, we develop associations, attachment, dependent. Just see as everything as as a trap that is going to tie you, like the ropes, the gunas, tie you to samsara. What is Bhagwan's response to what Krishna is saying? When he's swallowing everybody there, the near dear ones of Arjuna. So everybody's crying, everybody's praying, everybody's doing everything. So spare me, save me, not me, not me. Yeah. So what is Ishvara going to do in a situation like that, Mark? Imagine you Ishvara and everybody's praying and cry, oh, save me, and this and that. No? What is Bhagwan going to do? Is he going to take sympathy to some people because they are praying louder? Bhagwan does not have any sympathy by anyone. Bhagwan is a system. Ishvara is a system. Is intelligent, the supreme intelligent, projecting, sustaining, and recycling everything. And the living creatures appearing in this world, the so-called human beings, have a window of opportunity to learn some things during this transition between birth and death. He does not have any feeling. He's not an entity. And he's not cruel. He's just the laws and principles. He's just karma. And karma is not something that is imposed by Bhagwan to punish one's people. No, because human beings have been given free will, the possibility to choose and to connect the points, the dots between one's attitude, words and attitudes and the results. And then gradually reorienting one's life to the Vedas, to the scriptures, to the source of this knowledge that somehow reveals the entire structure of Mithya and the purpose of appearing in duality in a structure such as this one. But from the point of view of Arjuna, it seems that Bhagavan is cruel without any sympathy. Because there are even young people with a life ahead of them being crushed as well. Bhagavan looks at everybody and says, I can understand the young kids that they may be crying, despair, but you, Arjuna, warriors in the field, you have lived long enough to have developed a certain maturity to understand that the most fundamental law is everything is born, must die. So have you not been looking around? But that's what happened. Nobody sees it, nobody faces it. Everybody looks to the other side. There is a huge denial to the most fundamental law in Mithya, and that it's a projection, a superimposition, the gunas. It's not really real, but it appears, it remains for some time, and then it is deconstructed. It is constructed by the power of Maheshwara, and it is deconstructed in time. But how time? Depends on one's karma, which is tied up with the circumstantial collective karma of society as well. Okay? If you haven't understood this law, you did not make a good use of this life. That's not my problem, Ishvara. If Ishvara was a personal entity, he would say, it's not my problem. I have given you a life. I have given you a field in which you live. And I have given you a possibility to choose free will and think and determine. I cannot give everybody the highest possible intellect, because the very liver free will I'm giving to you is what is going to sharpen, or otherwise your discrimination, your intellect. So you're getting a dull intellect, it's your karma. Have you done something to improve it? Yes or no, it's your karma, it's your responsibility. If you did not get mature enough, it's your responsibility. It's your problem. If you are suffering, it's your problem. Stop blaming everybody else around you, And when you do not have anybody anymore to blame, you start blaming invisible beings that somehow have imprisoned the entire humanity, in this prison planet. So you're going to come up with all kinds of ideas and notions. Take responsibility. I'm giving you an intelligent intellect. I'm giving you the scriptures, which will give you the possibility to grow in maturity. I'm giving you the opportunity to understand everything in the light of the scriptures. I have given you an opportunity to see people dying around you, so that you can learn that you're going to be next. So how much have you assimilated like that? This simple truth. And the scriptures, how much did you assimilate these scriptures? But we live just as if we are closing our eyes all the time, not wanting to see these basic principles of life, such as time, death, that which consumes everything. And then people begin looking for life insurance. United States life insurance. United States is it's such a weird society. Sorry to say that, such a weird society. When I went to live in the United States, people were trying to sell me insurance policies for this and for that, everything they want to have your back, to secure you, you know. And I had to discuss and fight sometimes, say, no, 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 I don't want. But no, but it's good because then if something like that, if something happens, so you're gonna be covered, blah, 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 blah. And the complexity of these policies is such that you need almost to be a lawyer to understand all the nuances. I said, no, I have lived so far my life in total risk. I love to live a risky life. So I have never done one insurance in the United States, and neither here unless they force me. Now I discovered that they don't force people to do car insurance, full coverage car insurance on this. There is a minimum that covers nothing, basically, that is, but it's very cheap. And oh God, thanks God, at least nowadays here in this country, I'm not forced to do auto insurance. But people in that kind of society, that's why I said weird, they live. It's the collective mind is of fear, insecurity, therefore you need insurance. Fear and security, this may happen, they may have a policy here. But when you see you have 300 policies with you around you, and you have to pay them. I don't have house insurance. First, because I don't believe it. I mean, I have some savings for that, but I somehow I reject the idea of paying every month a big chunk of money every year, so that later on the lawyers are going to try to fight not to cover me on this and that, which is very common. People do not even want to talk about that, but they have life insurance. Closing our eyes to this principle called karma or death is going to make us to lose the opportunity to face it and understand it. You have to do that which Ramana Maharshi did. He had an experience that gave him a certainty that he was dying at the age of 17 or so. He was dying. So he faced, there was something in his mind due to sadhanas. He was an evolved soul. He has done certain sadhanas. So everything, as the scriptures say, your growth, your spirit development is not lost. So he was born with that, and then immediately he had a certain epiphany that put him in direct contact with his own physical death. And then immediately the knowledge popped in his mind and said, but what is going to die here? What is going to die here? So the concept that I'm going to die was already in his causal body, so much so that it produced an experience of death so that he could be tested and say, yes, now I finally complete my journey. That Papaji is saying, when it comes to the last moment, we're gonna all have the opportunity to say, but who's gonna die? What is dying here? I'm witnessing the process here. So Ramana understood that at that young age, and it was not by accident. You need to face that. Die before you die. There was a slogan in the spiritual circles around, in the 30, 50 years ago, die before you die. So just face your death and die for this mistaken identification with the body as the body before you die. Or you just face it when you die, but for that you have to be doing a lot of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. such as we do. But if we do not grow spiritually, if we do not grow in maturity, and if we cry before our death when it comes, or even before the deaths of somebody else around me, Bhagwan will have no sympathy at all on you. I have given you enough scope for wisdom. I have given you gurus. I have given you scripture. I gave you a good life, a good intellect. Papaji, would say a good country in which you have access to this spiritual knowledge. And what did you do with all of that? Bhagwan will not have any sympathy. And so Bhagwan is not cruel for that. Arjuna says, you seem to be a good eater. Then you are eating everybody, and it's more dramatization. Arjuna was under shock, believing that everybody was being served with different kind of seasoning and spice, such as in a coconut leaf. It's like a feast. Ishvara Bhagwan is enjoying a feast. Now, this is all projection in the mind of Arjuna, of course. And Krishna is dramatizing to make us develop a certain positive disinterest for life itself, because people, the language is not flowing today because my mind and my body is very weak, but people, we in general, we get attached to life. And either because we have a good life and punya, or we are in denial in respect to all those negative sides of life. And then the scripture come and say, look, face it, the whole picture. It's pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain. There is a lot of pain. In fact, there is more pain than pleasure. And in fact, the pleasure is the fact. It is, appears here and there, and it has a lot of limitations and the facts. It comes with attachment the very moment you begin enjoying something. So see things as in that they are, and develop dispassion and go for that which is the only source of freedom and peace. So that's why I believe Krishna is dramatizing so much, so that we can see very clearly. This is samsara, man. It's not an easy place to be. And what you're doing with all of this, you are relishing it. You are licking your own lips. And he's still describing Bhagwan eating that good meal. And just imagine the satisfaction of Bhagwan in the battlefield, having I don't know how many thousands of people for lunch, It's a big feast. Now it's going to kill everybody with the radiation of its fire. So let's present that. We have seen that, the fire coming from the mouth, which radiates and burns everybody. Cooking, so barbecue, people like barbecue. Shwara with the fire is going to barbecue everyone. That's why we ask how many years old you are. You never say how young you are. Nah, that would be nice. That's funny, né? Because in the United States, at least, it should be like that because it's a very polite society. England as well. English people are so polite. How can they be so bad mannered to tell people how old are you? Yeah? You should give them an example mark and start to say, how young are you? Huh? But we say, how old are you? Why? Because at least that people are aware of that every year that goes by, the wrinkles are becoming deeper and the energy level is become more and more shallow. So how old are you? Oh, right now, many years, many days, and a few hours older, but it does not stop. Time is consuming us moment by moment. We are being cooked or barbecued by time. And when the cooking class taking place to the appropriate Bhagwan, when the cooking, the cooking has taken place to the appropriate, you know, when he has barbecued us properly, one by one, and then he goes by and by eating, enjoying, and he does not have a digestion system. He can eat forever without having digestion. We are all being cooked and barbecued by Ishwara as time. So the heat of your mouth, the heat of the fire, the heat of your radiation is scorching, is tormenting all the people, Lord. So Krishna says, please, be compassionate. What are you doing? Eating everybody. So Arjuna has begun to doubt the true nature of God as the benevolent, auspicious, compassionate God. He started having second thoughts, just like my aunt started having second thoughts. She lost her faith when her husband died at the age of 83 or 84 or 86, I don't remember. So likewise, Arjuna is doubting. Christ is supposedly said, so have you forgotten me? There was a moment, there was so much suffering. He was being crucified. And then the doubt comes. Human nature. All of the time, Arjuna heard about Bhagwan, his love, compassion, and sympathy, and beauty. He had his idea of the Lord. And when he sees the Lord devouring everyone, he says, there is something wrong with my notion of the Lord. Arjuna is wondering, why is the Lord appearing as this extremely cruel being? So his appreciation to the Lord was shaken, and that is very human as well. Whenever we suffer in life, we all tend to have some doubts in respect to the nature of God. That's only because we take only one side of God, which is the creator, the second side as the sustainer, but never the third side or aspect of the Lord, which is the destroyer. We see life as the birth, as the growth, and we do not want to look into the fact that the growth brings with it old age, sickness, and death. Is Ishvara really compassionate, or still an even worse doubt comes? Is there a God at all? I don't believe there is a God. Look at how much destruction. That is the next step. Due to what? Immaturity, short-sighted view of the Lord. Is this Lord really compassionate? And the next question is there the creator, God, as well, or is just a a fantasy in my mind. Arjuna gets into these problems and he speaks straight to the Lord, raising this question. And in the next question that we read now, who are you with this fierce form? Tell me, O Supreme Bhagwan, salutation be to you, be gracious. I desire to know you as the primal one. Indeed, I do not know your function. So he's not really accusing Bhagwan of anything, but he's at least putting like it, who are really you? Because I'm confused. I was having a different view of you. I don't understand you. I do not know you and the way you are behaving, functioning. Arjuna clearly is asking, who are you? Are you the compassionate one or the cruel one? Are you the creator or the destroyer? Who are you? The frightening, terrorizing one or the blessing, loving, compassionate one? Please tell me. I have this doubt now and I'm confused. Whenever there are problems in life, whenever problems